All right, let's talk Lakers, because even without a blockbuster move before training camp, there's already a ton to unpack. No trades, no headlines, just vibes and evaluation heading into the season. And you know what? That's not necessarily a bad thing. Patience has been the mantra this offseason, and while everyone loves the buzz of a new signing or a major shakeup, sometimes the smartest move is the one you don't make, at least not yet. The front office has clearly chosen to let this version of the roster breathe before pulling any triggers. And honestly, that's not only calculated. It might be the most responsible approach. Why jump the gun and overspend on a player like Andrew Wiggins when you don't even know what your actual holes are going to be 20 games in? This is what smart teams do. They go into the fire with what they've got, test the waters, and see what actually floats and what sinks. Because what looks like a problem on paper might not even matter once the season gets going. And what you thought was a strength could fall apart fast. What is already clear, though, is that the Lakers need perimeter athleticism and defense. That's not up for debate. They need guys who can defend 1 through 3, guys who bring that two-way grit every night. But here's the key question. Does it have to be a high-end name like Wiggins? Or can they patch the holes with more cost-effective options? Players like Matisse Thybulle or Haywood Highsmith. Because with the way Wiggins is getting paid, you could grab both those guys and still spend less. It's not just about talent. It's about fit, role, and value. And that's where the Wiggins dilemma gets interesting. No one's denying he's a solid two-way wing. He could defend multiple positions, handle the ball, give you 20 points when needed, and play both on and off ball. But are the Lakers even set up to utilize all of that right now? Look at someone like Rui Hachimura. He's already shown flashes of mid-range dominance, has the physical tools, and can score in bunches. But how often is he given the green light to be that guy? Almost never. So if a guy like Rui isn't getting touches to showcase his full skill set, what makes anyone think Wiggins is going to suddenly have free reign to do it all? It's a fair point. Are you really willing to burn your future assets and cap flexibility for a player you might end up using as just another 3-and-D piece? Because if that's the role you're asking him to fill, you could probably find someone cheaper who fits in more naturally without needing the ball, without requiring the offense to bend around him. That's why a guy like Thybulle, who thrives on effort, defense, and doing the dirty work, might actually make more sense, even if he doesn't carry the same star power. Then you have the backup center question. It's another area people love to panic about. But what if Jackson Hayes takes a leap this year? What if he gives you the same level of production off the bench that he showed in stretches as a starter? You wouldn't be talking about needing another big. You'd be set. Because in today's league, if your backup center can give you 20 good minutes a night, run the floor, crash the boards, and protect the rim, that's a massive win. And let's not forget the bench scoring, which was dead last in the league last season. That can't happen again. But maybe it doesn't have to. What if Rui moves to the bench and becomes your go-to sixth man? What if Jake LaRavia turns out to be a legit contributor, a guy who can defend, shoot, and create his own shot? Suddenly, that bench unit doesn't look so thin anymore. Add in Dalton Connect, who has real upside, and the Lakers might quietly have one of the more balanced second units in the West. There's always the possibility that by mid-season you realize, okay, maybe we do need another microwave scorer off the bench, someone in the Malik Monk mold. That's totally fair. But the point is, you don't know yet. And the only way to know is to play the games, give these guys real minutes, and let the needs naturally rise to the surface. That's when you'll know what's worth trading for and what's not. Because what if LaRavia actually pops? This is a guy who graded as a B-plus defender last season and has shown real signs of being a 3-level scorer. What if he turns out to be the surprise of the year? Every season, there's one or two of those guys. Last year, it was P.J. Washington in Dallas. Nobody saw it coming, but by the time the playoffs rolled around, he was crucial. If LaRavia becomes that guy, it changes everything. It not only gives you a reliable contributor, it gives you leverage in trade talks. You're no longer desperate. You're no longer chasing a savior. You're just adding polish. Same goes for Jared Vanderbilt. If he can get back to his elite defensive form from early 2023 and hit threes at a respectable clip, the Lakers might already have the player they were hoping to trade for. Add that to the chemistry he already has with the team, and it starts to feel like maybe the answer isn't out there. Maybe it's already on the roster. But again, even if all of these things go right, even if LaRavia becomes a stud and Vondo becomes a reliable two-way wing, you still might want to make a trade. Not because you need to, but because you can. That's the key difference. When you're not desperate, you negotiate from a position of strength. You can afford to be picky. You can say no. That's a powerful spot to be in, especially when dealing with teams who know you've got assets and cap room. Rob Pelinka understands that now. Earlier in his tenure, you could see he was a bit too eager, pulling the trigger too quickly, and sometimes getting fleeced in deals. But to his credit, he's evolved. He's learned to slow down, be patient, and wait for the right moment. You look at his recent track record, and he's made a trade every single season except one since taking over. That's not a coincidence. When there's a deal to be made, he finds it. But he doesn't force it anymore. He waits until it makes sense. And look, sometimes overpaying is fine. If it's for the right guy, and it fills a real need, you do it. Like the Mark Williams scenario. Even if it felt like a steep price, it would have addressed an obvious hole, and the upside was there. That's the kind of overpay you can live with. But right now, there's no justification to go all in for someone like Wiggins when you don't even know if you need him. That's the risk. Bringing him in could stunt the growth of younger guys like LaRavia, who might be ready to take off. So why not wait? Give it 20, 25, maybe 30 games. Let the story unfold. See who rises, who falls, and where the cracks start to show. Then, if a need presents itself, you go out and get the guy. It might not even be a name we're talking about right now. Every year, someone becomes available that nobody saw coming. A team starts tanking. A veteran wants out. A role player starts to pop and becomes expendable. The market shifts fast, and if you're patient, you could be ready when it does. That's why the Lakers are in a good spot right now. They have the assets, the expiring contracts, and the flexibility to make a move if and when the right one comes along. No need to rush. And it feels like the front office knows that. They're walking into training camp with confidence, and they should be. The moves they made this offseason may not be flashy, but they're smart. Strategic. DeAndre Ayton could have a major bounce-back year. Marcus Smart brings toughness and leadership. Jake LaRavia might be ready for a real leap. There's a lot to be optimistic about. Now, let's dig deeper into what this training camp actually means, not just for the Lakers' immediate future, but for what could be a defining chapter in this era led by Luka Doncic. This isn't just about figuring out who your sixth man is or whether you need another shooter off the bench. This is about identity, about carving out a real system, a real structure, and a real direction for a team that has often relied on patchwork fixes and late-season adjustments. That can't be the approach anymore. Not when you've got a generational talent like Luka, and not when you're trying to build something sustainable around him. This might be the most important training camp in Luka's entire tenure. Not because it's the flashiest or because there's some giant storyline surrounding it, but because this is where you begin building the foundation of what you want the next 5 years to look like. The roster will change. Players will come and go. That's inevitable. But Luka is the constant. He's the engine, the voice, the system, the culture. Every move you make, every signing, every trade, every play design has to orbit around what gets the best version of Luka Doncic on the floor. That's what training camp is for, to lock that in. And that's also why you don't rush into a trade. Because if you're serious about building around Luka, you need to make sure you're not just stacking names on a depth chart. You're building chemistry, balance, and long-term fit. You don't want to block the growth of guys who could be foundational just to add someone who may or may not even elevate your playoff ceiling. It's the difference between building for June versus building for November. And this team needs to start thinking long-term, not just chasing quick fixes. That being said, none of this means Rob Pelinka should sit back and wait forever. He needs to be active, alert, and aggressive. Not reckless, but calculated. If a trade opportunity comes up that truly improves the team, especially one that doesn't gut their future, he should absolutely pull the trigger. He's proven he's not afraid to do that. But the key is patience. That's what gives you leverage. That's what keeps you out of bad deals. Other teams need to believe that the Lakers aren't desperate, because right now, they're not. and that changes the tone of every negotiation. You also have to remember that trades rarely happen this early in the season. Most teams want to see how their rosters shake out. They want to know what works, what doesn't, and where the holes are. That usually takes 20 to 30 games, which puts us somewhere in December before the phones really start buzzing. Until then, you might hear whispers and see rumors flying around, but big moves? They almost never happen before teams have a chance to truly evaluate themselves. So if you're the Lakers, that's your timeline. You go into the season with the squad you've built, and you let reality write the next chapter. But even while waiting, you've got to keep your eyes open, because things change fast in this league. A team like Portland might not want to lose a guy like Matisse Thybulle for nothing, especially if they pivot into full rebuild mode. Same goes for someone like Haywood Highsmith. If Miami takes a different direction, he could suddenly be on the table. And those are just the names we know about. Every year, players become available that no one saw coming. Maybe someone asks out. Maybe a young guy explodes and makes a veteran redundant. These are the moments where patience pays off because you're ready to act while everyone else is still recalibrating. And when that time comes, the Lakers will be in a great position. They've got expiring contracts, young assets, and picks they can use to swing a deal. That's more than a lot of contenders can say. The key is using those assets wisely. Don't move off of them for the wrong player, and don't panic if the market dries up for a month. Stay calm, stay sharp, and be ready when the right door opens. In the meantime, focus shifts to internal development. This is where training camp becomes so crucial. You need to see what Jake LaRavia looks like when he's actually given a consistent role. Can he really defend at a high level every night? Can he knock down open shots? Can he make the right reads and fit into the flow of the offense without needing plays called for him? Because if the answer is yes, then you've got something. Not just a role player, but potentially a real piece of your rotation, maybe even a playoff contributor. Same thing goes for Jared Vanderbilt. We know what he can do on defense. We've seen it. But the shooting? That's the wild card. If he can become a consistent threat from the corners, even at just 35%, that changes the spacing, changes the rotations, and opens up more minutes for him in closing lineups. If that shot starts falling, he goes from situational defender to must-play guy. And don't overlook what DeAndre Ayton can bring. A lot of people have already written him off, but the talent is still there. He's got the size, the touch, the athleticism. What he's lacked has been consistency and motor. But maybe this is the environment he needs, a chance to reinvent himself, contribute to a winning culture, and prove he's more than what people think. If Ayton bounces back this season, that's a game changer. Suddenly, your front court rotation looks a lot more formidable, and you're not scrambling for big man depth at the deadline. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on, the Los Angeles Lakers roster chatter is heating up once again, and this time, the rumor mill centers on two young talents whose movements could reshape the team's dynamic. According to sources close to the situation, Cole SWIDER, currently with Ultimato, has reportedly hinted at a potential move to the Lakers, but there's a twist. In a statement that's already making waves on social media, SWIDER reportedly said, "If Curtis Jones comes to the Lakers, it's because they don't need me here." The comment, casual on the surface, has fueled speculation among fans and insiders alike. SWIDER, known for his sharpshooting ability and versatility on the wing, has been steadily building a reputation as a promising player in Ultimato. His emergence has not gone unnoticed, and the Lakers, who are always looking to balance veteran leadership with fresh talent, could be a natural landing spot. Yet, the cryptic reference to Curtis Jones adds a layer of intrigue. Curtis Jones, a young guard with a reputation for explosive athleticism and defensive tenacity, has reportedly been on the Lakers' radar for some time. Rumors suggest that if the team moves aggressively to bring Jones aboard, SWIDER might interpret it as a sign that his potential role in Los Angeles could be limited. While this isn't an outright declaration of departure, insiders say SWIDER's statement reflects the delicate dance of opportunity and perception in the NBA. Front office sources, speaking off the record, caution that nothing is set in stone, but the Lakers have always been known for making bold roster moves. Could SWIDER see himself as a foundational piece, or is he already hedging his bets if Jones is brought in? Fans have already taken to forums and social media, dissecting every nuance, every possible scenario. Speculation ranges from a trade involving SWIDER to a situation where the two young talents might compete for minutes in a loaded backcourt. What's certain is that this kind of tension, real or perceived, is exactly the sort of buzz that fuels the NBA offseason. Lakers followers, accustomed to drama both on and off the court, now have another storyline to follow. SWIDER's remark may be casual, but in the high-stake world of professional basketball, it might just signal the start of a very interesting summer in Los Angeles. Whether this is a negotiation tactic, a veiled warning, or simply a statement of confidence, one thing is clear. Wherever Curtis Jones ends up, Cole SWIDER's future is suddenly a hot topic among Lakers fans and NBA insiders alike. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video.